Hey besties, another tutorial here today. We are doing a fabric split tumbler. Make sure to follow us on Facebook at Misfit Makers and go check out our website misfit-makers.com. Okay, let's get started. We're gonna be using a 20-ounce skinny and some quick coat by CCDIY and pick out your favorite fabric. We're gonna start off by tracing the bottom of our tumbler with a pencil and paper. We're gonna be using that as a stencil to create our split in our cup. So go ahead and trace this and cut it out, and then we're gonna be folding it in half. That way we can place it as a template on our cup. So with that little template you created, put it on the bottom of your cup and line it up to one side and then make a little line. This is going to give you the middle of your cup to create the split cup. Don't worry if it's a little wonky. This is just a guide. It's completely fine if it's not perfectly exactly straight. Then use your painter's tape to place it along that line. Use a little level or a ruler to make sure your lines are not, your tape is nice and straight. Sometimes my eyes can be deceiving and I think it's straight, but obviously here you can tell I'm on the struggle bus, like I'm having to lift up my tape several times just to get it nice and straight. But once you have it straight, she's ready to go. And I know it looks a little crooked there, but I promise you it's straight. It's the glare or the angle, but I promise it's straight. Okay, so we're gonna start with our quick coat. We're gonna just use a little bit, as you can see. Quick coat is super thin and it dries super fast, so I love using this product to apply my fabric. I like to use a little silicone applicator here to apply my quick coat. You can also use a glove finger, whatever works for you. As long as it's a nice, thin, even coat, that's all you need. And a little goes a long way, guys, so don't use a lot of quick coat, just enough to get it covered and make your way to the other side of the tape. Once you get there, press firmly and then trim any excess. It's okay if it's a little jagged. This is just a rough cut. We are gonna go back and make a nice straight edge. Take this time to check all your corners like I'm doing here. Place a little bit of quick coat and make sure you got all your corners nice and flat. After this step, you want to make sure it dries really well. You do not want to move on to your next step of quick coat until this is completely dry. You can use a heat gun to speed up the process, but quick coat dries so quickly that you won't have to wait long. When using quick coat to apply my fabric, I like to do at least 3 good layers. So make sure again that each layer is completely dry before you move on to the next. Making sure all your edges are nice and laid down. I like to also get under my fabric a little bit on the top and the bottom and then fold them over. We are going to trim the top and bottom, so it doesn't really matter how it looks, but you want to make sure that it's nice and sealed, top and bottom. This is crucial when you're doing a fabric tumbler. Now that my second layer is done, I'm going in with my third coat. Like I said, I usually do about 3 or 4 coats of quick coat, making sure it's dry between each layer. A little goes a long way, guys. After you're done doing all your coats of quick coat and it's completely dry, we want to make a straight edge on our fabric so it's not all jaggedy. So take a piece of painter's tape and place it directly over your existing tape. Once you line it up nice, you want to press down firmly, make sure you have no wrinkles, and you can get ready to cut it with an X-Acto blade. Make sure your blade is very sharp. This will help you cut through all the layers of fabric and tape or glue or whatever you have on there. So once you do it to one side, go ahead and do the same steps to the other side and then remove all your painter's tape and extra fabric. Now we're going to trim the bottom and the top of the tumbler. You're going to use a cup edging tool to create a nice straight line. When you're doing a fabric cup, this is an essential step. Fabric is notorious for causing your seal to break, so you want to make sure that you reveal some of the silver of the stainless steel on the top and on the bottom to create a good seal with your epoxy. After your fabric is nice and trimmed, you want to go in and paint your cup. I'm using pop of color to give it a good base for my glitter. Because I'm using iridescent glitter, I want to make sure I have a nice even coat underneath. I did 2 coats of pop of color, making sure that it's completely dry before going in with my second coat. Now for the glittering part, I mix some Mod Podge into my pop of color to use it as an adhesive. So make sure you do a light, even coat. Make sure there's no lumps, streaks, or glumps of glue anywhere. Make sure it's nice and smooth. I did the side of it first and then I did the bottom. So you want to make sure you work quickly because Mod Podge dries so fast. I'm using a nice, beautiful iridescent pink to go with my fabric tumbler. Now let's do the bottom. I'm using the same Mod Podge and paint mixture to apply a thin coat on the bottom of my tumbler as an adhesive for my glitter. I'm also going to do the top edge of the tumbler. I didn't record that, but make sure you do that and be careful not to get it on your fabric. After your cup is nice and dry, you want to make sure you seal it really well before epoxying. I'm using CCDIY Fast Set for my first coat of epoxy. I added a little bit of glitter additive just to add an extra sparkle to the fabric. Make sure you use your torch to pop any pesky little bubbles. Okay, so after it's nice and dry, you want to sand it really good. You want to get it ready for those decals. So make sure you sand around your rims and around your bottoms and make it nice and smooth. Clean it off with some good old H2O and a coffee filter, and then it's going to be ready for the decals. So I am putting little vinyl strips along the sides of my fabric. I like to cut my vinyl strips at 0.07, but you can make them a little bit wider or thinner, whatever you like. Also, if your fabric or your lines are a little wonky, you can always use the vinyl strips to your advantage and make them a little thicker to create the illusion of a straight edge. Vinyl strips on your cups is a little tedious. I'm not gonna lie, it's not my favorite thing to do, but it just takes your design to the next level and makes everything look nice and clean and crisp. So just take the time to do it because it'll be worth it. Okay, so now we're gonna put our main decal. I'm gonna be showing you guys how I do the wax paper method. Grab a little piece of tape and put it at the bottom of your bottom piece of your decal. So we're gonna be layering an offset. Okay, and then your top decal, you wanna put it on some transfer tape. So you wanna transfer that to your transfer tape. And after that, we're gonna take a piece of either parchment paper or wax paper and put our main decal on top of it. This will allow you to line it up really well on top of your other existing decal. So as you can see through it. You want to leave a little tab at the top so you can adhere it to your surface and it doesn't move. So after you have it nice and lined up, you want to press down on that tab on the top and then remove your parchment paper. Sometimes it sticks a little bit, but it's not that bad. Just slip it out and then it will lay over your offset perfectly. Now you're ready to peel back the decal. So you're gonna place it centered on your cup, and once you have it where you want it, press down firmly and remove the transfer tape. I'm gonna epoxy this cup at least 2 more times before it's finished, making sure that I sand between each layer. I am using CCDIY's medium viscosity epoxy. Make sure to torch it after a few minutes of spinning to pop any of the bubbles that like to pop up at the end. And after she is nice and dry, you get this little cutie. I am so excited. I love how it turned out. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope that it inspired you to make your own fabric tumbler. Let us know if we inspired you by hashtagging us, hashtag MMBX or hashtag Misfit Makers. We also want to give a shout out to our Patreon members from the Besties group. Thank you so much for your support. And also make sure to subscribe to Misfit Makers on Facebook and go check out our Patreon at MM Besties Exclusive. See you guys later.